AI, robotics, and the future of jobs. It's literally the question everyone is asking right now, right? Are we standing on the brink of this incredible technological utopia where machines just do all our busy work, or are we staring down an absolute economic disaster? Welcome, focused learners. Okay, let's dive into this explainer and figure out the future of your paycheck.
So will AI take your job by 2025? The Pew Research Center set out to answer exactly that, and in doing so, they sparked what is arguably the most critical economic debate of our lifetime. Look, with self-driving cars, hyper-intelligent digital agents, and advanced robotics just completely permeating our daily lives, the question isn't really if the technology will advance. We all know it will, for sure. The terrifying, or hey, maybe thrilling question is this: by the time these systems are fully deployed, will they have destroyed more jobs than they actually create? To find the answer, Pew didn't just ask a handful of talking heads on TV. No, they went straight to the source. They talked to 1,896 of the world's leading technology builders, researchers, and analysts. That is a massive study. We are talking about the literal architects of our future economy, the people actually writing the code and designing the systems that will define how you and I live and work. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the absolute shocker of a result. There is zero consensus. None. It is a literal coin toss among the smartest minds in tech regarding our economic destiny. Look at how razor-thin this divide is. 52% are optimistic. They think, sure, things will definitely change, but your job overall is safe and tech will create more jobs than it destroys. But breathing right down their necks, a massive 48% are deeply pessimistic, warning of just unprecedented mass job displacement.
Section 1. The Builders, and why your job is safe. Let's start with team optimists, that 52%, who believe history proves technology is actually a net creator of jobs, going all the way back to the Industrial Revolution.
The core argument for these optimists is rooted entirely in historical precedent. Take Microsoft principal researcher Jonathan Gruden, for example. He points out that, when the global population was just a few hundred million people, there were hundreds of millions of jobs. Fast forward to today, we have billions of people on the planet, and guess what? We have billions of jobs. The underlying logic here is that human needs scale perfectly with the human population. There's absolutely no shortage of new things that need to be done. As long as there are people, there'll be demands that require brand new forms of labor, whether that's, building commercial spaceships or making artisanal avocado toast.
That labor is simply going to look a whole lot different than it does right now. Amy Webb, the CEO of Webb Media Group, sums it up perfectly. She says, the color of the future is a hoodie. I love that. The optimistic view doesn't pretend that the old jobs won't disappear. It just argues that job sectors will dramatically shift. We are going to see a massive, unprecedented surge in demand for armies of talented coders, technicians, and system managers. Basically, the assembly line worker of the past simply evolves into the software developer of the future.
Plus, the optimists highlight exactly what machines fundamentally lack. Michael Glassman from Ohio State argues that we are all going to be pretty surprised by how limited AI actually is when it comes to complex human interaction. I mean, sure, you can program a robot to assemble an electric car, but can you program it to genuinely empathize with a frightened hospital patient? Can it creatively solve an unprecedented business crisis? Can it exercise nuanced moral judgment? Probably not. In these deeply complex, critical thinking domains, human beings are going to remain absolutely essential.
Section 2. The Doomers. The white-collar threat. It's time to shift our focus to the 48% who foresee a much darker timeline, where things get incredibly urgent.
These doomers argue that we are facing something entirely unprecedented in human history. Historically, like what we saw in the Industrial Revolution, automation primarily hit blue-collar, physical labor out on the factory floor. But this coming wave of AI, it's completely different. It's coming directly for the office. It is targeting the cognitive, knowledge-based tasks that have traditionally been the safe haven and the absolute bedrock of middle-class security.
To make this macroeconomic threat feel intensely personal, expert Alex Howard specifically points the crosshairs at back-office functions. We are talking about medical secretaries, transcriptionists, paralegals, insurance processors. These are really stable white-collar roles that rely almost completely on data processing and information retrieval. And you know what? That's exactly the kind of tasks that automated algorithms and intelligent digital agents can already perform today with terrifying speed, perfect accuracy, and at just a fraction of the cost.
And if those jobs just vanish quickly without being replaced, the doomers predict a really chilling domino effect. First,
Massive white-collar job displacement triggers profound, skyrocketing increases in income inequality. A tiny fraction of highly skilled tech owners and operators are just going to succeed wildly, right? Meanwhile, everyone else's wages simply stagnate or disappear completely. Ultimately, this creates a permanent, unemployable underclass, which they warn could lead to massive social unrest and a complete breakdown of the social order.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate high-stakes face-off. On one side, you have the builders, anchored by a deep faith in human ingenuity and our historical ability to invent brand new industries completely out of thin air. And on the exact opposite side, the doomers, completely paralyzed by the fear of unprecedented social disruption and the rapid hollowing out of the middle class. It is an intense, existential tug-of-war for the future of humanity.
Section 3. The plot twist, where they agree. Now, here's where the story gets incredibly fascinating, because despite this massive ideological divide, both sides actually totally agree on a few things that might completely shock you. First up is a massive, glaring failure. Both the optimists and the pessimists agree on one terrifying fact. Our educational system is fundamentally broken. It is just completely unequipped to train workers for a robotic-centric future. Think about it. We are still using an industrial-age schooling model, one that's totally built on rote memorization and repetitive tasks to prepare students for an economy that will literally only value dynamic problem-solving and deep digital literacy.
But this spectacular failure actually reveals an incredible opportunity to completely rethink how society functions. Let's move to and see how this builds into the idea that work itself must evolve. If machines are doing the bulk of the manufacturing and the data processing, we have to move beyond the industrial age notion that a traditional 9-to-5 job is the only legitimate means of wealth distribution.
Just imagine a world with vastly less daily drudgery and burnout. If machines do all the heavy lifting, it opens up massive amounts of time for family, for self-improvement, and actual leisure. By establishing entirely new social support safety nets, maybe even something like a guaranteed basic income, human beings could totally refocus their energy away from simply surviving the daily grind and put it toward genuinely contributing to the common good.
This shift triggers a massive economic transformation. We could see a distinct, dramatic split in the market. On one side, you'll have a heavily automated, mass-produced economy churning out cheap, identical, disposable goods. But on the other, a massive surge in a rehumanized economy. Think of platforms like Etsy, but on a massive, grand scale. The future economy will actually prize customized, artisanal, highly valuable goods and services specifically because they were made by a human hand. The human touch becomes the ultimate premium.
Section 4. Redefining the future. Which brings us to our final and honestly most empowering point. We are defining tomorrow right now, and you are not powerless in the face of these algorithms.
Seth Finkelstein, who is an Electronic Frontier Award winner, states it perfectly. A technological advance by itself can either be positive or negative for jobs. It's a political choice. So the crucial point is that technology is not destiny. Machines don't write the laws. We do. We are in complete control of the political, social, and economic systems that will ultimately determine exactly how this transition plays out. At the end of the day, society makes the rules.
So, what future will we choose? Are we going to step up, upgrade our educational systems, and build the safety nets we so desperately need to thrive in this new era? Or are we just going to sit back and let the algorithm dictate our worth? Let me know which side of the 50-50 split you fall on. Are you a builder or are you a doomer? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, smash that like button if this explainer helps you grasp the real stakes of the AI revolution, and be sure to share this to prepare someone for tomorrow today. Thanks so much for learning with me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.